Hello and welcome to another one of our education videos. This one's about planks, a very controversial subject, this one, and we're going to look at really what planks do to you, and is there really a better choice, because to be honest there really is, and this is an overused exercise that really does make you a lot weaker. Alright, so let's get into it. So firstly, why does everyone love planks? They believe it builds a strong core. They think it will give them great abs. They're told to do it because their doctors have told them, because it will strengthen their core, and many believe that it prevents injury because it's a great core exercise. Well, firstly, it doesn't build a strong core, and I'm going to go into great detail as to why. It just gives a false sense of strength, and core strength is more than abdominals, by the way. Give them great abs will not. Anyone who knows half a bit about training will know that you can't spot reduce, and you can't just work on an area to make it look good. A six-pack is really a lot to do with nutrition and and a lot more than doing planks. This next one is a real concern, being told to strengthen their core due to back pain or some injury. Again, this won't change back pain at all. It might help you in a little bit, but really it'll do nothing to prevent the ultimate real problem. And preventing injury, same thing. It's just, again, just a rubbish statement. It's not even close to being what you need to do. So what do planks really do? Well, there's really four things that I would go into detail. The first one is that it disrupts the timing. It completely disrupts the timing between your inner unit and your outer unit muscles, which are the core, and I'm going to go into detail what that is if you've never heard that before. But the breathing pattern used in a plank is just so unlike how you would really want to use it in real life, and especially when you want to use the core or your inner unit stabilizers to engage. It's really reliant on the breathing pattern, and the breathing pattern in a plank is very short, shallow breathing that is neither really breathing in or out. It's just like almost swimming underwater. It's just not a very good method for stabilization. You do not breathe like that when you want to use effort and exertion. For example, if I'm a baseball pitcher and I wind up, I'm going to have a bit of a hold of the breath to create pressure, but I have to let the breath out when I throw the ball. I can't just keep the pressure in there, or I have a really poor throw. So the diaphragm, you can see, is one of the key units, the muscles of the inner unit being with the multifidus, the transverse abdominis, and the pelvic floor. And many people would have heard those muscles before. These muscles don't attach to bones on the outside, meaning they have no influence in creating any movement. And they're greatly influenced by the breathing, and the diaphragm's main purpose is to create, how we create our air, is where we pump the air into the lungs. And it acts as a big, as much as it's for respiratory and keeping us alive, it creates intra-abdominal pressure, which you would need in a deadlift to create, so you don't flex your spine when you're lifting. But you don't hold your breath the whole time. You hold the breath on the hardest part and let it out to relieve the pressure, so you can build it back up to put it back down again. Again, you will see this breathing strategy used a lot in infants, and they don't develop their core from holding planks. Alright, so it's interesting, isn't it? How do they develop their core strength? They develop from crawling, wiggling and rolling around, and developing strategies using opposite arm and legs, which is the crawling pattern, and eventually to kneeling, then to standing. Right, but they don't stiffen themselves, and their breathing, if you watch an infant breathe, their belly will rise on the breath in, so they'll be creating pressure when they need it and letting it go when they don't. That's the only way to efficiently move. Planks do not teach you any of this, completely ruin this timing. Alright, so it's a poor for sports, but poor for preventing injuries and just moving in general. Secondly, it creates stiffness. So the whole purpose of the plank is to make you stiff as a robot. Now, I don't know anyone that wants to move like a robot, and especially someone with back pain, they already move like a robot. So why would I give them an exercise that's going to encourage them to be exactly more of the same? So stiffness is not stability. All right, so a plank, there's no reflex mechanism required. So actually it's making your reflexes worse, because you're telling your stabilizers, I don't need you anymore. Your hip mobility, which you need a lot of, is being now told to create stiffness and not mobility. Your true stability is where you go from being relaxed to very stable in the blink of an eye. So it's that split second timing, it's reactions, and it's often done in a standing position. And examples here, if I'm a kid on a bike and I take these training wheels off, if he goes really stiff like he would on a plank, he's going to fall, I guarantee you that. He has to work out how to reflex time himself to create the stability, and that happens on a very small scale. Tennis player, the same thing. If he stiffens himself up like a plank, he won't move very well. The exercises that sort of encourage this, example of one of these ones, there's many, but this where there's a lot of things happening. There's arms moving, the trunk moving, but the legs are remaining still and stabilised. So there's a lot of moving pieces that need mobility, but it's not a stiffness exercise. This does not help that. This does not help that. This is very much going to not help this person who's already stiff, who's already feels like their back's like fused. All right, so you basically, like, it's natural fusion. I don't know like how this possibly is going to improve the reactions, and there is no reflex, there's no timing, there's nothing. This is not stability, this is stiffness. Two areas, if you understand, where things always accumulate stiffness that create injuries in people, it's always through the hip flexors and the rib cage and often the ankle. But in the terms of, so the plank's not really going to ruin the ankle, but it is going to ruin these, because you're basically telling your rib cage and your thoracic area to just become rigid and stiff. Same with your hip flexors. I don't want you to move, I want you to stiffen up. These abdominal stabilizers probably been kicked in the first half a second or so, and probably were there for the first 5 or 6. But the longer this is being held, the less that these guys need to work, because they don't work like that. Now you're actually telling your outer unit, your bigger, thick muscles that are meant to move you, actually telling you to stiffen you and stabilize you. So now they're actually, their prime purpose has been taken away, and now they're going to try and take over the role of the inner unit, who, remember, can't move you because they don't attach to those bones. All right, so stiffness is not stability. Number 3, you're not going to change movement. So let's say even if you did improve your reflex mechanism, which I don't know how you could, but let's say you did, you're still not going to change how you move anyway, because you haven't taught yourself, or the brain and the nervous system efficiently, how to do it. So again, you still can ruin sports and stuff needing, especially stuff needing rotation and really good hip extension, because you haven't shown yourself how to do it. And this is common with back pain, which is what I'll see. So again, if we look at the planks, how is the plank going to show this person how to not do that? So this person might hold the plank for 5 minutes, but if that's the only way they know how to bend, they're still going to bend like that. So I don't know how plank is going to fix his back pain. He's going to end up with a bulging disc. He's going to blow that disc right out, as is this guy, because they don't understand the hip hinge mechanism, how to create intra-abdominal pressure and maintain their posture. This doesn't teach any of that. This is not a brain exercise changing movement patterns. It's just a muscle exercise creating stiffness. Number 4, it gives the illusion of strength. So people improve pretty quickly after doing planks for a few weeks. The skill level is pretty minimal, so really even an idiot can improve at it. But the improvement is not where they really need it most. And basically people think they've got stronger through their core, giving them a false sense of security with the movement. So then they progress to harder things, and guess what? Bang, because their core isn't as strong as what they thought it was. So holding a plank for 2 minutes doesn't guarantee any avoidance of injury whatsoever if you haven't learned how to move and integrate it into the systems, and you could have done that without the planks anyway. So false strength capability sees you get either shoulders, hip, back, knee, you name it, whatever is tied to the spinal cord, to the spine is going to get it. So all the external limbs are relying on it, and it's not a great exercise at all. So is there a better way to train? Well, firstly, I've just given planks a real good trashing, but if you're using them and you have no injury and you've got no pain, you might be fine. You're probably using a lot of other exercises that are countering what you're doing there, so will it hurt you? Probably not. Having said that, is there better exercises that could probably give you the same thing, probably even better, in the time you're using to invest in holding yourself stiff for a couple of minutes? Absolutely. Here's an example of a Turkish get-up. It's got a bit of a planking mechanism, but it's not holding stiff, and it requiring stability at both joints and mobility as well. So I'll rate this 10 million times better than a plank. So if you want a strong core, do some some Turkish get-ups. Better choices, deadlift, squats, single leg exercise, all cable movements are way better. If you want to do something that actually looks like a plank, do some push-ups. So the push-up is almost in the same position, right? But at least it has this mechanism where you're coming down, you're building pressure. So there's a breath hold of a few seconds, and then you push up, you breathe out. And at least it's still a moving thing. It's not actually rigidity, all right? So same chin-ups are the same thing, more on a vertical plane. Prone jackknife, very similar to this, where you're rolling the Swiss ball in and out. Again, it's teaching hip mobility. I would rate the prone jackknife as a much better choice than the plank. And again, all these cable squats, and like I said before, Turkish get-up, all much better choices. Now, the real problem I have with planks is when people are using it for rehab or injury prevention, because as we've already looked at, this is not even just ineffective, this is actually contributing to even more faulty timing, more faulty stability, more muscle imbalance, more movement pattern dysfunction. So in this case, the planks is a very, very poor choice and highly not recommended. You should not be doing this. There's just so many more important things that you should be doing and worrying about than this sort of a movement. So when you understand that the core, as I mentioned before, it's an integration of the inner unit and outer unit muscles, and it's more than just the abs. So the inner unit are the transverse abdominis, your diaphragm, your multifidus muscle, pelvic floor, and they're basically very small, unable to do very much, and they have to rely on working with the exterior muscles. So their role as a stabilizer is mainly providing joint stiffness and segmental stability, but on a reflex level, as in infant crawling. Where the outer unit, the big muscles like your quads, your hamstrings, your pecs, lats, all those guys, these guys are still playing a role in the core stability, but more of a moving role. And this is where they work very much in what we call chains, or as they're better known as slings. And that's where the right arm working with the left leg, and that's how we create like a spring effect and create our movement from. So when you train the body like that, you're actually always cutting through the core, because this arm, to get to communicate with this leg, it has to bisect through here, and that's what gets our general, like our rotational movement when we walk, when we throw things, when we run, just about everything. So we're working anteriorly, posteriorly, sideways, and then in a longitudinal version as well. So when you train your core that way, you train it the way that it was designed to be used. It was not designed to be held stiff and rigid like a robot. All right. So if you want more information on this, you can grab this. Heaps of information on our website, our YouTube channel. There's heaps of great books and articles. You go to our website here and you can get these free reports. Our Blue Black book gives even tons of different variations of exercises I've mentioned in this video. But I hope that sort of gives you a bit of extra information about planks. I don't believe there's really any really bad exercise, so again, some people will be fine with this, but there's a lot of people using it for the wrong reasons, and hopefully that this sort of educates you on the exercise that are better choices and gives you a better result with your training. All right, I'll see you on our next video.